A Garden of Words is a beautiful and visually stunning movie. I would even go so far as to compare it to a Studio Ghibli movie. It is an incredibly idyllic movie about a guy with a foot fetish. When we first meet Takao, taco truck, Taki? Whatever. When we first meet Takao, he's like waxing poetically about the sky and being young and the rain or something. I don't know, I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention. While he's monologuing like a Bond villain, he's on his way to a park, because that's where he hangs out on rainy days. Sitting in the park is Yukino, who when we first meet her is drinking a beer, alone, at like 7 in the morning. Super early. Kind of weird, but like, you know, maybe it's different in Japan, but I feel like if you're drinking that early, unless you're trying to keep a buzz going, it's kind of a cry for help. While they both enjoy the rain in their own very individual and unique ways, Takao decides this would be a good time to draw some toes. He says he wants to be a shoemaker. Which, sure buddy, I like steak, but I don't want to be a butcher. Yukino gets rightfully creeped out and decides to leave, but before she goes, she decides to leave him with a poem to ponder. As they begin to see each other more and more because Japan's rainy season starts to pick up, they grow close, and Takao mentions that he wants to be a shoemaker. He raves that he wants to be a shoemaker because he feels he is truly creating something. Cause chefs, carpenters, painters just don't exist. Gonna have to call bullshit though, because he seems especially excited in making women's shoes. Like, this feels aggressively like a king thing. I'm not the kind of guy who shames anybody for what they do for work. Get it how you live it, especially if you're passionate about it, but be honest with yourself. It would be one thing if he was like, yeah, I just want to make stuff with my own 2 hands and shoes are just kind of cool. I want to make shoes for girls, guys, women, children, everybody. Everybody gets some shoes, but that's not the case. He just wants to make women's shoes. Just women's shoes. Nobody else's. Imagine if a guy was like, yeah, I want to help people. I want to save lives. I want to make a difference in the world by being a gynecologist. Like, okay, sure, someone has to do that job, but maybe not you. Like, you seem too passionate for the wrong reasons. Maybe go straight to jail first. As the movie progresses, we see bits and pieces of Takao's home life and how it isn't all that great. His brother's a bit of a jerk and his mom's never home and also kind of an alcoholic MILF. He doesn't like school and is in a hurry to grow up and begins to idolize the idea of Yukino, who drinks early in the morning and doesn't take care of herself, which, sure, fine. If the body is a temple, mine is in a rough part of town and has graffiti scrawled all over it and drug-addicted raccoons living in it. I don't take very good care of my body, so I have no room to judge her, but I'm also not developing a love interest with a high schooler. Oh right, I forgot to mention, Takao is a 15-year-old high schooler and Yukino is 27. The first quarter of the movie is spent learning about Takao, his hopes and dreams, and his home life. It then switches over to the predator, Yukino. We find out she's dead inside and feels like a failure or something, and life isn't going her way, which I can relate to. I'm a jobless weeb who runs a YouTube channel with less than 100 subs, but I don't befriend strange children I meet in the park, so I have that going for me at least. Hold it! Maybe Yukino feels isolated and alone in her life, so she is completely platonic in her friendship with Takao. It's weird, but not creepy and predatory. Objection! Okay, then why does she lie to her ex-boyfriend about Takao, telling him he is an old woman and not a 50-year-old who stares at her feet in the park? Huh? Exactly. So, in an effort to support Takao's dream, Yukino buys him a book on shoemaking, and he tells her how he feels he is so close, but not quite there. So, in an effort to help, Yukino lets him touch her feet, which, I mean, sure, I guess. Does that work? Excuse me, madam. I would love to someday open a women's lingerie store. May I please sniff your underwear and caress your buttocks, please? Madam, I am not a pervert. I am an artisan. Now look, I've seen Quentin Tarantino movies. Maybe I'm just a dumb Philistine who can't understand the pure artistry that is excessive shots of feet, but moments that are supposed to be beautiful and thought-provoking or showing the character deep in thought will just cut to a shot of the grippers. And just like Yukino's, they never really show anyone else's feet. Even when Takao isn't around, Yukino will just be thinking to herself, then bam, shot of the piggies, the linoleum grippers, for free, just on display. Some time passes because Japan's rainy season ends and Yukino misses Takao more and more, and Takao obviously misses her because he's being groomed. Since the rainy season is over, Takao and Yukino no longer see each other, so Yukino drinks more and Takao gives some monologue about how making women's shoes will get him out the hood and a better life. Yukino laments that she hasn't changed since she was 15 and feels stuck in her life, though she is 27 now, which is Probably why she can relate to a 15-year-old, I guess. Sounds like cope. Maybe you should go to therapy. Anyway, you find out that Yukino was a former teacher at Takao school. She quit because she was bullied by some of the students, which, you know what? Fair. Teenagers are scary. I would rather fight a bear butt naked in the dead of winter with a salmon strapped to my back while Roldish Chapman pelts me with baseballs than spend 5 minutes in a room with clever teenagers. Takao gets beat up for slapping the girl who started the rumors about Yukino, which I'm not advocating for violence or anything, but you know, if you're going to hit somebody, hit a mean teenager. They share a tender moment during a thunderstorm, metaphors and what have you. Then Yukino drops the bombshell that she knew he was a student this entire time, which is weird for everybody involved because, like, I know he says he wants to be a shoemaker, but he was always like 2 seconds away from popping one of her piggies in his mouth. She invites him back to her place to get out of the rain. He cooks for her. She irons his shirt dry, and beautiful orchestral music plays as they both have the same thought that this moment, the moment in time that they are sharing with one another, is the happiest moment either of them have been in their entire lives. And it would be a very sweet moment if she wasn't literally a former teacher at this kid's school. During this tender moment, Takao announces to Yukino that he loves her, and not in a student mentor way or even an older sister younger brother way, but biblically, carnally, the kind of love that R&B singers in the 90s would dance in the rain about. That kind of love. Yukino blushes and then tells him, hey, I know since the moment we met I've had an inappropriate intimate relationship with you that in your adolescent hormone-stricken brain you perceived as romantic but was simply a form of escapism for me. But now that you've confessed your love, I think that this has gone too far. Please call me Miss Yukino. Once again, dramatic orchestral music plays and Yukino describes how she has moved into her hometown and she was only in the park drinking and eating chocolate so that she can learn to be independent again, throwing a shot of her feet and shoes being a metaphor, blah blah blah. So she ultimately rejects Takao's declaration of love and then becomes visibly upset that he respects her and takes rejection quite well. Well, maybe not super well, but for a 15-year-old, pretty well. Every time I got rejected when I was 15, I was ready to douse myself in gasoline and jump cheek first into a volcano, so he could have definitely taken it worse in my opinion. She then runs after him barefoot, of course. She trips and falls along the way, but she continues to run after the man boy she loves like it's a 2000s rom-com and he's about to board a plane. The music swells and they stare at each other for a few moments before Takao says, I was just kidding. I actually hate you. You're a mean, stinky doo-doo head and you suck. I mean, not really, but that's what it kinda sounds like he's saying. What he actually says in frustration is, I was a student this entire time and you didn't say anything. You listened to my dreams and you still treated me like a child that he is, which for a moment makes you go, oh wow, finally, someone is making some sense in this movie. But ultimately, even that moment is short-lived because Takao then proceeds to talk about how she only did that because she was humoring him and didn't see him or his dream as real or possible, which, again, his dream is to make shoes, specifically women's shoes, which of course takes skill and work and is a real profession, but it's not like he's trying out for the NBA. Anyway, they start crying, there's a shot of her feet, the clouds open up and the sun shines through, and Yukino hugs Takao and finally admits that he is important to her and that the time they spent together saved her. And that's pretty much it. That's the movie. There's a montage and a monologue about how time moves on. Roll credits. Takao finishes a pair of heels and leaves them and a note in the park that he met Yukino in. While Yukino is teaching, looks over at the outside world, at the sun peeking through the clouds, and thinks of Takao while he walks away from the park and the shoes he left, hoping that no one will steal the shoes, hoping that he will someday see her again, as long as he keeps walking, or something. I don't know. This is a really weird movie and not in a fun, silly, get drunk and watch with your friends kind of way, or not even in like a off-putting, you just kind of have to see it kind of way. It's that sweet middle. It's visually beautiful and animated super well. Like if you didn't know, you would think this was a Studio Ghibli movie. From the character design, the scenery, the level of detail put into this film is insane. But it's even crazier when you consider it's just about a dude who wants to make shoes falling in love with a teacher. And it's just kind of 45 minutes of that, which sure, forbidden love and two people who just need someone to see them as who they are beyond the surface is a beautiful, beautiful story. But the fact that there's a 12-year age gap, Takao only cares about making women's shoes, and all the feet shots kind of take you out of it. But all of that aside, it's a chill movie. 3 out of 5 for me and 5 out of 5 Tarantino's.